Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be pulling some stuff out of the garden to get ready to plant tomatoes. So I thought before I pull this stuff, I'm going to take you around, show you what I was in the garden. Some of it's bolted because it's like 88 degrees today. But I thought I'd give you a quick tour, show you what is in the garden right now. And then I'm going to harvest some radishes and some greens, a few things like that, tell you what I want to do with those. And then tomorrow we'll be planting tomatoes. So I'll just take you along for a quick little garden tour here. So before we even get started, I'll just tell you, like, here is my bed of greens, and actually interplanted between those rows of leafy greens like lettuces and such, spinach, are I have went ahead and planted corn. It's probably about this tall. I'll show you what that looks like right now. So once it gets really hot, a lot of these lettuces will probably bolt. We're just eating off of them daily. So I know that those will not last forever, so that's why I went ahead and got my corn seed in the ground for that bed, so it can be growing. Maybe it will even shade out as it grows, this lettuce, if I'm lucky, and keep it from bolting a little bit longer. So there is corn interplanted in this bed of lettuces, and then the middle bed right there has strawberries and green beans, which I just showed you a few videos back, me planting those. Those are coming along nicely. The last long bed back there has purple hull peas and okra interplanted together. We'll see how that goes. Those are both just now starting to pop up. And then let's see here, almost all my beds right now are filled with some sort of peas. Those are actually starting to put on their pods, so another week and a half, and those will be ready to all be harvested. And that's really all I'm waiting on, is those peas, and so I can really get on with my gardening in a couple of these beds, because there's a couple of beds that are holding just all peas, and that's actually, when I pull those up, is where my sweet potatoes are going to go. So that's holding me up right now, so I'm just patiently waiting on those peas to put on their pods, and they did start putting on their pods just the last day or two, so it won't be too long before I can harvest those. But I'm actually going to be harvesting my radishes and such from right here in the fronts of these beds. That's peas growing behind it, but right here there are radishes. Some of those have already bolted, some of them have not. We're harvesting all of those. Today I might leave one or two behind to save some seed from, but for the most part we're going to harvest all of those, as well as some of my other leafy greens, so I have space to get my tomato plants in. It's going to be so warm. This is perfect weather to get my tomatoes in, so that's why those have to come out right now. We're just planting back to back. It's always great to plant whenever you're going to harvest something, to go right behind it and plant something while the soil's already nice and loose, before any extra weeds have time to take off. So that is my reason. I really like to harvest something and go right behind it, fertilize a little bit, and plant that right back out within the same day, if possible, day or two. Okay, and I have lots of things in here that have went to seed. I've talked about that before. Some of those are getting a little bit closer to being ready to harvest seeds from, so I'll give you a quick little update on those. The carrots, they still haven't bloomed yet. Some of the radishes are blooming right now. I'll show you what that looks like. And I know the kale and spinach, those have put on their seed pods really well. Give you an update on those as well. So I'll show you a few things like that in the mix too. I'm going to try to not make this a super long video, so I'm just going to give you a quick tour and show you what's happening. Okay guys, so there is a view of the garden for right now. And then I want to zoom in and I'll show you. We'll start right here. See if I zoom in a little bit, and I can show you how, like, my corn is interplanted here. There are two things of corn there because I always put two seeds in each hole just to make sure that I have germination. But little seedlings like that, little corns, are starting to sprout up, so those will take off pretty quickly, with this week going to be in the upper 80s, almost 90 degrees all this week. Corn really loves hot weather. Those are going to take off. Lettuce does not love it so much, so we'll see how this does. So far, all of this is doing really well. This is an iceberg. It can either be eaten, we have been eating off of it just the leaves, but eventually those will head up into an iceberg head. This is a romaine lettuce. This is red romaine. We have Bloomsdale spinach right here. We have some arugula. And then interplanted in between that is a red wing mix. And I really like the coloring on this. So let me take you down here and show you how pretty this leaves are. You can see there's like some green on the inside. This is a nice, I believe this will head up. Really quick lettuce tip is that if you will, when you are harvesting your lettuce, if you harvest the outermost leaves, your newer leaves inside of here, those baby leaves will keep growing and you will have lettuce for a lot longer than if you just chop this off and eat all of it at once. So it's a great way to keep your lettuce producing, is always be picking only the outer leaves, leaving those inside ones to continue growing. Okay, so behind me is one of many beds that have peas. These are a shelling pea, okay, English pea, like what you would get if you buy canned peas or frozen peas. They have exceeded my expectations. They are 5 and 6 feet tall at the moment, and they are still reaching upwards, as you can see behind me there. They are doing great. They're loving this trellising, and they are putting on loads of really pretty blooms. So literally yesterday morning when I came out here, I mean, there was tons of blooms, but there were not any pods. This morning I came out and I have found lots of pods. So these will just appear overnight, and I'll turn this around so you can see what they look like a little bit better. But first you're going to start out with blooms, and each one of those flowers will eventually turn into a pod. Okay, so let me turn you around and show you what these are. Not mature pods, but I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so there is our peas on the trellis here, and then if we get up here close, come in here, you can see, get out of the light, these pods are still flat. They will eventually fill up with peas inside, and then we will shell those. Okay, you can't eat them right now, they're edible at any stage, but I'm waiting on the actual peas inside of the pod for this. So then beneath it, these are radishes. I don't remember, these might be the giant purple top radishes, I believe. They are growing very quickly. So like this one that I'm pulling, it's still perfectly fine and good. That it's actually a perfect size. Lovely, perfect little radish there. I'm going to be harvesting all of these, but there are some that are starting like right here. If we look at that closely, you see inside of here it's getting ready to flower. That means these are about to bolt. Some of these have really bolted, and these little green things open up into these purple flowers, and then once the flowers die back, what you're left with are these tiny little seed pods here that will continue to grow. Those will fill up. Those are actually very tasty and edible once they fill up with seeds. That is your radish pod that you would save seeds from if you wanted to save radish seeds. So like this one's this one's already getting there and growing those on. Like I may leave this one radish. I'm not going to leave all of these though. This is where my tomatoes are about to go. So most of these are going to get pulled. Okay, and any of them that have already bolted, those are probably going to become goat food, because they will start to taste a little woody and earthy. And so yeah, we'll just go from there. These bolted just almost overnight because it was so hot. But on the other side of my peas here, lots more peas over here. Actually, there's some more pods here. See that? Okay, but let's see. Oh, I was going to show you my SwissChard. Actually, this one's going to be a little hard to see because we're in the shade. I have some really pretty, this is SwissChard, but it's in the shade right now, so I feel like you can't get a full grasp on. I mean, look at that. Look how big that leaf is. Isn't that nice? These have grown great. So I have SwissChard on this side, and over here we have a different type of pea, sort of somewhat growing up this trellis. These are a like the flat snow pea that you would eat in like a salad. Don't know that these have put on any pods yet. If they have, I'm not seeing them. They're, oh, right here's one. This one's just yesterday or today. They're putting on those tiny little pods there. You see the flower is still attached. Okay, so those are a snow pea. Oh, there's a nice one. They blend in, so it'll be hard to find there, but there you go. Okay, so over here, and I'm really bummed about this, but I'm going to still use these. This is all. Put over here. These are all mustard greens, and I was going to come out and harvest all of these and cook them up, and it came some really bad storms. I didn't get them that day, but just because I don't like anytime it has rained with a leafy green that you're wanting to cook down, they get a lot of dirt splash back on their leaves, on the lower leaves. It'd be really hard to wash them clean. It's better to just wait a day or two until after it rains. Well, I waited, and then it got super hot out, so now these are also have bolted. Once again, little flowers. These will open up into yellow flowers that will turn into seed pods that I could save some mustard green seeds if I wanted to. I'm actually not going to save any of these. These are all going to go to the goats and chickens. They got lots of great nutrients in those. It's on both sides of here, along with the peas, obviously. So these aren't going to go to waste. The chickens and goats are going to love these, especially the goats, especially the pregnant goat. She's really going to enjoy having that in her diet. This bed is almost ready to be cleared out. These are what I've talked about in my last garden tour. If you missed it, this is kale and spinach that I purposely have let go to seed because it is producing thousands of seeds for me that I can save. So this is spinach, and when we look here closely, all those little circles right in here, each one of those is going to be a spinach seed, and there are just hundreds and hundreds of those, all which will be able to be saved for seed. And then of course over here, my knitting, is my kale seed, and here's the little pods, and those will fill up with seeds. They're starting to fill up with their seeds right now. You can see all of these pods. Every one of those will have about 5 or 6 kale seeds in it, and then when you look at this entire plant and try to imagine just how many seeds that is going to be, totally worth it to let it take up a little space. I will not need kale seed for a long time. Just look at all of those seed pods that are growing there, okay? Same thing with all the spinach. Look at all of the spinach. So much of, so many seeds, okay? All right, this is a little bit different type of spinach, but it is getting ready. Put on seeds there too. And that is another kale. Okay, over here we have another thing of little marvel peas. It's very hot out, so these are looking a little wilty, but they'll be okay. Underneath here are some beets. Those have not done so well. I may just pull those up and feed those greens. Either feed them to the goats or do a chop and drop and just leave them lying here. Okay, over here we have a lot more of the snow peas, which are the flat type pea pod, and I did see several pods over here, so let me just see what can I find here to show you. Maybe they're on the other side. Some bees doing their work. Let's see. I know that I saw pods over here. Oh, right here. Here's a pod right there. So I could eat these at any point in time. I'll let that grow and get just a little bit bigger. But that is what's going on with these. I should have peas very soon. Oh, here's several right here. Okay, so that's what's going on with peas. Oh, I forgot the French breakfast radishes over here. There are so many of them. A few of them have gotten a little overgrown, but they have not bolted. They are pushing themselves up out of the ground. Look how many of those there are. I've had the most luck with this particular type of radish. They don't seem to be as acidic. They're easier to handle. Let's see here. If we can even get in there and see, but there's so many of them in here. Let's see what I can pull out for you. We're gonna harvest all of these together and see what we got. But there's some right there. Alrighty. We have potatoes. Alright, so we have our potatoes here. That bed is looking great. I actually have beans interplanted with my potatoes. They're right here. Something has made an early snack of my beans. I usually don't have much trouble at all with my beans, especially this early in the year, but I've noticed something has been snacking on some of them. But these are bush beans. I always interplant bush beans with my potatoes. That is because beans fix nitrogen into the soil, and potatoes need a lot of nitrogen, so they are great companion plants. But there are beans interplanted in here. I'm just going to try to see if I can show you some. But yeah, there's our potatoes. They are looking great. Shouldn't be too much longer before they will be ready to harvest. And here is our bed of onions. If you ever have a problem, it actually does need weeded in here, so I apologize for that, but if you have a problem with your onions not wanting to head up well, something I do now, I only do this if it has just rained, we had lots of rain the last few days. I take my onions and I just sort of like twist them around to loosen up the soil, just right around them. And when they stay loose like that, they're able to grow bigger bulbs. So I just go down through here and give them all a gentle little twist to loosen up that soil around them and keep them, the soil around them pushed back so they can grow big bulbs, okay? So there's my onions that do need weeded. Speaking of onions, we also have, this is the onion that I told you I brought out from the kitchen. It had started to sprout right down there. And I just stuck it in the ground a little bit, and it's now forming these little flower heads. Here's the flowers. Those will be really pretty, and then those will produce onion seeds for me as well. You guessed it, more peas, because I love peas so much. They're so yummy. So there's some more peas, and we have some cilantro down here. Cilantro, this is sort of a weedy bed because it's mainly herbs. We have cilantro, we have some parsley, we have some oregano back there. On the other side, we have these gorgeous purple flowers. Those are sage flowers. That is what sage looks like when it goes to seed. It produces these gorgeous purple flowers that will then also give me some sage seed. The bees are loving these, so that's very pretty. Over here, the mint is just like taking over, but it smells very nice. Really needs to be cut back and harvested. I'll be doing that sometime soon too. Here is oregano. That also needs to be harvested soon. And then in here, right here is sage, that right there. So lots of different herbs. This is basically my herb bed. Just planted the peas for fun. Then we have garlic over here. Also needs to be weeded. I apologize for that, but it's looking nice. Alright, definitely. I don't know what this is. Maybe a wild violet. Just takes over so quickly. We have one little squash right here. Actually, I don't think it's sunny enough over here. I don't know if it's getting enough sun, so I may have to move him, but there was an empty space here, and I thought that would be a great spot for squash. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Alright, next we have potatoes, and we also have back there in the back peas and blueberries, just kind of growing together and hanging out. I also have somehow gotten a chicken into my thing. I must have left the gate open. Okay, anywho, more potatoes. Okay, so this bed of potatoes behind me is especially important because it was like a little experiment. Last fall, I planted out some extra potatoes I had that had sprouted. Went and planted those in like late August and let those grow into the fall until they would have been ready to harvest. I did harvest from them, but I left several potatoes in the ground to see if I could use this bed throughout the winter as sort of like a root cellar to hold over the rest of my potatoes, so I'd have seed potatoes for the next year, because a lot of times my garage gets too warm, they prematurely sprout, and then I don't have any seed potatoes left for the spring. So I left them in the ground here, and as soon as the first few warm days came through, sure enough, they sprouted and they grew, and it worked. So you could definitely purposely leave like a potato behind out of every group of potatoes you harvest from as your seed potato in the ground the next year. If you're doing that in the fall, if you're harvesting a fall crop of potatoes, leave some behind. Maybe cover them. I do think that was one thing here. I didn't cover them enough, or more of them would have came up. I think it got a little too wet. Some of them probably rotted. If I covered them with some cardboard or a tarp, this would have been drier with it being in a raised bed, and I probably would have even had more success with that. So I'll do that this fall. But it was a success. The little experiment did work. Alrighty. Alright, so here's just another bed of potatoes. Nothing super exciting. It does have beans interplanted in there. Chicken. Carrots with a few cabbages that are in here. They're actually doing really well because we are in the shade underneath this tree. It's so much cooler over here. Carrots love growing in this area underneath this tree. So there are carrots, and then that I've just broadcasted. They're not in rows. I feel like that's how I get the best harvest in a small spaces, by not doing rows, but by actually broadcasting them. Then I come behind and I harvest the largest carrots first, and that makes a little more room for the smaller carrots to continue to grow. There were some cabbage in this bed though. I left it, and so far they are growing nicely together. Like there is a cabbage, and here are our carrots. They're looking nice. Okay. Alright, here is the miscellaneous bed that I just like, of things that I need to grow in the shade. There's all sorts of things in this bed. So let's have a look. Okay. Up here, that is the carrots that are about to go to seed. They're actually about to flower. They're putting on their flower heads right now. In a few days, their flowers should be fully in bloom, and then I will get seeds from those flower heads. So that's the carrots I'm saving seed from. Over here we have some nice lettuce. This is butter crunch. Okay, this is a green bean. This is iceberg that will head up. It's a weed. We have celery that enjoys a little bit of a shadier, cooler spot. Celery really needs a lot of water. This raised beds, they tend to dry out very quickly. So I've realized by putting them in a semi-shady spot, they do a lot better. So there's my celery. Yeah, I think this is arugula. Some more lettuce, more beans, some red romaine. There's just a little bit of everything in here. There's even a cabbage or two around here hiding away, like right here. It's a cabbage and a celery growing next to each other. And then, of course, the overgrown carrot. Alrighty, on to the next bed. Okay, so this bed is interplanted carrots right here. And cauliflower, I believe this is either cauliflower or broccoli. I did not mark it, so it will be a surprise. I feel like it is cauliflower though. It's looking a little wilty right now because it's so hot out, but it is semi in the shade, so at least it is holding out because of the shade. It hasn't bolted yet, so that is good. So we have carrots, broccoli, carrots, And then the same over here. We just interplanted them. So far they are really enjoying living together. That has been good. Okay. That is that. And then over here we have more peas. These yellow flowers are cabbage that have went to seed. And here's, like, if you would like to see it, started as flowers, turn into these. The petals fall off, they leave behind these small seed pods. The seed pods grow and mature, and they see how much longer that is. And if you look really closely, you can see the seeds, like the little bumpy parts inside. So it won't be long before I'll be able to pull up that plant and harvest all of those seed pods, which is a lot when you look up close. Like each one of these little guys will have seeds in it. Okay, peas. Another cabbage that I'm saving seed from. More peas. So this is out in the full sun, all planted at the same time. Some of this is Brussels sprouts, which they are taller here. But as you can see, some of those have started to bolt and go like this. So probably going to pull those up, get those out of the way. On the other hand, I'm kind of debating on not, because they are shading the stuff growing under them, and underneath them are cabbage. And so it's sort of shading out and giving that cabbage a little extra help. So you can see here the cabbages. Okay, they're actually doing pretty good. They're enjoying a little bit of the shade, like I said, from the broccoli. So I don't know if I want to pull some of those that have bolted or leave them for a little while. Eventually sweet potatoes are going to grow here, so yeah, gonna have to figure out something within this week and decide what I want to do. Okay, so here is my last bed of this sort, and let me show you the SwissChard. This is rainbow SwissChard. It's very pretty. It's right in here. See the coloring of it, and like pretty. And then some of it with rainbow, sometimes it will be all one color, like this one's all white. This one is all yellow. Right here. The yellow's not showing up really well. But then you'll have one like this that is, let me come around to the other side. Like this one, and it is multicolored. It's very pretty. I'm really loving that SwissChard. I'm about to harvest this and cook it up and try it out, because those are going to have to come out as well before my tomatoes can go in. Okay, so right behind me, right here, is the strawberry patch that I planted. Those are all doing great, and I interplanted those beans with it. And you can see those beans are really doing good. I'll give you a close-up, but that bed is doing good. Getting lots of sun there, and I think that's going to turn out pretty well. Debating on putting one bean teepee in the middle for like some pole beans. We'll see. Haven't decided on that for sure. That might go there as well, but for now the strawberries and beans are doing great together. Alright, so end of the day, it's about to get dark out, still humid and a little hot out. But I'm going to treat myself and try the first pea of the season. This is a snap pea, sugar snap pea. So let's give it a try. So good. Fresh out of the garden. Peas are my #1 favorite thing to just grab and eat straight out of the garden. Of course, I'm not spraying anything on these, so it is nice to be able to come out and just grab one. So sweet. And this is a sugar snap pea or a snow pea, but the little marble peas, you pop open the pod and take out the individual peas, and they're like candy. My favorite garden snack of all. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for hanging out with me, enjoying that first pea. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.